webinar that's being put on by Parvati and Atul. We're going to be talking about security and stability in ColdFusion, specifically in the upcoming ColdFusion Next product, which is currently in beta testing, and hopefully all of you are in there right now. If you're not, let me know. I will get you a link to get you in. It is fully open, it's fully free, and it's fully fun. So without further ado, I'm going to have the mic handed over virtually over here to Atul, and he is going to start the day. Atul, over to you.
Thank you, Mark. So, hello everyone. Today we'll be talking about stability and security in ColdFusion. But first, let me introduce myself and Parvati. My name is Atul, and I've been working with ColdFusion for last 2 years. And with me, we have Parvati. She has been part of ColdFusion team for last 1.5 years. We'll quickly set up the agenda of this meeting. Basically, we'll go ahead with the quick overview of what this session is going to be all about. Then we go with our most important upgrades that we have done so far in this ColdFusion beta release, which is Tomcat and JDK. Then we also go through some of the security enhancements that we pick from PCERT and what are the fixes that we went with in this release. We also talk about SSL in ColdFusion and SSL in Central Config Server, how this enhances security for communication across. And after that, Parvati will be talking about OEMs, what are the major upgrades we have done so far in this release. And with this, she'll move forward to engineering escalations and community forums, the bugs that we pick up from there, and how do we handle security over that, and how do we push the changes over to as part of our updates. Then we finally move to the section where we talk about ensuring security further with one more step in ColdFusion. How do we talk to researchers internally and externally and enhance security within ColdFusion platform? All right, so let's get started. We need to know what is the security. Why do we need to care about security? Basically, it's an ever evolving platform, so we need protection against cyber attacks, data breaches, and disruption of computer systems. As you guys already know, while we are developing our product, there has been continuous development in cyber attacks as well. So we need to be on our toes to keep up with the new protections that we need against those cyber attacks. What it does is, when we are on track, we also protect ourselves from new vulnerabilities like malware or ransomware. And also, if we are able to protect ourselves from these attacks, we protect ourselves from financial losses, and with that, reputational damage and other legal consequences. We talk about legal consequences in the terms where we are handling customers' data and that gets corrupted or leaked to some other parties. So those are the aspects. Then if these things are already secure, then application developers, it becomes very easy for them to go into the market with least time possible. With these points, we can say that if our product is secure, then it enhances customers' trust, reliability, and availability of the software. Next, we talk about stability aspect of a software. A stable and reliable product is akin to a successful software and its business. So what happens is, basically any software that is written, it is written with the support of all the underlying dependencies. And these dependencies continuously evolve so that it is more stable across in different environment and platforms. And we must adopt to those changes so that our platform, which inherits those dependencies, are also stable. If we are putting a continuous effort into this, it reduces our code refactoring effort. And again, we see here also that with a stable product, it enhances customers' trust, reliability, and availability of the software. You guys can see that we have repeated that last bullet points again with security as well as stability. This is because stability and security goes hand in hand. It is never like we talk about stability and we keep security out of the loop, which is why this session talks about security and stability in conjunction. Moving on to our next broader section, we go to the most important upgrade that we have done in this part, in this beta release, is Tomcat upgrade. We are now supporting Tomcat 10.1 version, the latest one being Tomcat 1.14. And with this, we have moved to servlet specification 6. You guys already know that what it brings for us. So when we have moved from servlet specification earlier ones to the latest one, which is 6, we are enabling our users to use latest Java EE deployments like Wildfly 33 and other Java EE deployments as well. And this gives the ability to for users to use newer functionalities which are available with their latest deployments. Tomcat 9 was with Tomcat 9, we were only getting security fixes. Once we moved to the major release, Tomcat 10, we are also receiving newer functionalities that is being provided to this version. And this support will remain for a longer period of time compared to Tomcat 9, which is obvious. There were many changes that were done as part of Tomcat 10, and it was not compatible with Tomcat 9. For this, the reason for this was because there was a responsibility transition from Oracle to Eclipse Foundation. The major change that we have already seen is they renamed the package structure from JavaX to Jakarta. So this led to so many significant breaking changes. But we have tested this thoroughly, and we looked into every nook and corner and made sure that our product remains unaffected by these changes, so that the application that you guys run remains unaffected and runs as smooth as possible. With the Tomcat 10 upgrade, we are also getting some of the features which have been removed or changed. This is not an exhaustive list that you see, but we are just going to mention a few of them. The first being, for example, there used to be a request level get real path, which is not there anymore. Now it is present at the context level section. There has been some configuration changes with AJP connector. And lastly, we want to mention that in server.xml, they provide a connector configuration. Earlier, it used to be up till Tomcat 9, it used to be quite relaxed. Now it is not relaxed anymore. We will have to adhere to the configuration setting that these guys are providing now. So that is about Tomcat 10. We move to next slide. Java 17 was released in September 21, and its long-term support, its premier support with Oracle is supposed to last at least till September 26. And we are very proud to say that our ColdFusion 2025 compiles with JDK 17 now. And this is the internal part. There is the external part that you guys are going to see, which is we are also transitioning from JVM 17 to 21. What it does is, as part of our OEM installable release, you see a JRE folder where we place our JVMs to be run. And we are certifying our ColdFusion 25 to run on JVM 21. With this, we bring in a lot of changes, and we'll see how does it affect us? How does it affect the users? So the first and foremost thing that you might have already seen is there is a change in the thread and thread group functionalities. Stop, suspend, and resume is not available anymore. We want to mention Security Manager. This used to be present earlier. This has been deprecated since Java 17, and it still is in deprecation, but it has not been removed. There is a Java enhancement proposal for it to be removed in 24, but as of now, it remains there. But we are actively looking into finding an alternative to provide best security manager as as a replacement for this Java security manager. There are other notable features which we want to mention here. For example, there is Java from Java JVM 721. Java has moved from OS threads to virtual threads. What it means for user is they are more resource efficient and more scalable than before. There are record patterns that makes us easier to navigate into the data, complex data basically. They've also introduced patterns in switches, so which makes switch cases all more readable, more easy to use. We also want to mention about this new garbage collector, which is generational Z garbage collector. It improves over the existing garbage collector. In what sense? Basically, up until JVM 17, there was single generation Z garbage collector, and it works fine. But the newer garbage collector that you see here, it works on the principle that the newly generated memory generated space is more susceptible to dead objects. So they tend to clean up that area more frequently, which enhances the overall overhead. It removes the overhead of looking into all the generational space again and again. So we it will be disabled by default, but using some JVM arguments, it can be enabled for the users. How does it benefit you guys? So you guys already know that we can use Java objects using CF Java or create object. So if your class has these kind of functionalities, you'll be readily be able to use these functionalities with ColdFusion 2025. We wanted to also mention about the same thing which we mentioned in the previous slide, that is thread interrupt has changed. So instead of having a graceful termination stop method, now we are providing interrupt method. This will be explained in detail in upcoming slides that you will see in the next set of webinars session. We covered the major OEMs that we have changed so far, right? Tomcat and JDK and JVM. Now we go to the other section where we are talking about PCERT. As part of this, what are the security enhancement we pick from there, and how do we go about the fixes? We talk about the first and foremost thing that we have fixed here as part of this release is search implicit scope. This is a widely used feature of ColdFusion where we don't specify any like complete, fully qualified variable name. And this would give the users the ability to use the variable names very loosely. What it does is it looks for that variable inside all the scopes, and wherever it finds, it tries to pick the value from there. This is very much susceptible to be abused by attackers, because if let's say a variable is not present in a particular scope, it tends to look elsewhere, and if it finds there by some scenario, then basically you are giving wrong information back, and that kind of thing can be abused by the attackers. So we immediately looked that into the severity of this issue and released a security patch and provided a flag. So why did we provide a flag? We know that users are using this feature extensively, using this functionality extensively. So we don't want the users to break their own code. So we still provide a backward compatible flag, but it is marked for deprecation. And we strongly suggest that users migrate their code to use the completely fully qualified names for their variables to use. Next, we'll see in the upcoming slides how this particular implicit scope vulnerability can be used alone, and that opens channel for some more kind of attacks. But first, we'll go through the basic example how this search implicit scope works. Let's say we have created a file called scope testing, and inside this file, we are just outputting the value of request.scope-testing. What it does mean is it should look for this value scope testing inside request scope, right? Now, let's say there is another file and it give now we call this file scope testing.cfm with the parameter, where the parameter says request.scope testing equals to hello from URL. You can see that when we pass any parameter to URL, that should be part of URL scope. But in this case, when ColdFusion has looked into the values, it looked into the URL scope as well, and there it could find that request.scope testing was available, which is why it is looking, it returned the value which was passed as part of that URL. As part of this vulnerability, we see another issue which we are going to talk about, that is multiple local file inclusion issues. So this again results from that same unsafe scope variable issue. What happens is whenever we install our ColdFusion in production plus secure mode, these tags are directly available, language tags. So there is CF tag localization CFM, then there is custom tags localization CFM, and then inside CF tags also there is one localization CFM. We basically look for a attribute dot file parameter, and if the call to these CFM comes from the proper channel, if that file value is empty, it just throws an exception or it does proper validation. However, if this call is being made directly to these CFMs, it bypasses that check. And in that case, if we provide the value inside form scope, that can be leveraged to include different other local files, which can where, like, let's say we have a CFM and there we are trying to output some sensitive data that can be outputted from there, and that could lead to like sensitive information getting breached. Next, we talk about remote code execution via unsafe localization file generation. So this again is a byproduct of that same vulnerability. We know that we have a local file generator sitting inside administrator tools folder called index.cfm. What it does is it takes a set of input parameters. Based on that, it will try to output some CFM, and it will all depend on the parameters that we have provided. So as part of fixing this issue, we have ensured that input and output request arguments are validated properly. And there was a loophole in the parser and file generation code. We have updated those also to check for malicious input. So that cannot be exploited anymore. With this, we come to the next section. This again is part of an engineering enhancement where we wanted the users to be able to use secure socket layer over ColdFusion very easily. We already know that Tomcat 10 provides, Tomcat by itself or any other Java EE server provides the ability to enable HTTPS. But in the next slide, we can see that there are so many manual effort that goes into it. Let's say you want to run your server in SSL mode. What you need to do is, for even for testing, you want to generate a self-site certificate. For this, you might use a key tool or maybe some other OpenSSL library. Once you generate that, you go to the individual server.xml. For example, if we talk about Tomcat server, you go inside conf directory. Inside conf, you'll find this server.xml and look for the connector configuration. If it is commented, you uncomment it. And in the SSL host config section, you provide all the details. So here you can see the details like certificate file path, key store password, and key store algorithm has been provided. So making this task as minimal as possible, if we want the users to enable SSL with minimal set of steps possible, for this we have provided a new UI. With this new UI, we give the users the ability to use existing certificate, if they have any. Let's say they have already generated a certificate from somewhere, or they procured somewhere a legitimate certificate and they want to use it, or they just want to test their server in the product, like right before going to production with a self-signed certificate. So they would want to create their own self-signed certificate and use it with the existing ColdFusion server. And we also provide the ability to enable and disable SSL. You can see in this particular slide, inside server setting, we have created one new tab called SSL certificate. And in the very top level, you can see that we can use SSL certificate, either an existing one or create a new one. When we are talking about existing certificate, we can provide the certificate location and the credential for it, and what algorithm is being used for this certificate. We can also check these two boxes, which is HTTP and HTTPS. We already know that Tomcat by itself or any other Java EE server by itself provides the ability to enable both the ports at the same time, which is what we are extending here as well. So with the uh, checkbox itself, we can just tick it off or on, and we can enable HTTP or HTTPS based on our requirement. In this page, we talk about how, if we want to create a self-signed certificate, we can use this. So again, we are asking for very minimal information. So if you just go ahead with the minimal set of information, like just providing a qualified name, that is localhost, if it is running on localhost, provide a password of your choice, possibly longer than 6 characters, and give a certificate name of your choice. When you provide all these information, a certificate will be created, SSL will be enabled for ColdFusion, and next all you need to do is restart your ColdFusion server, and it will run with that new set of certificate just fine. This is a demo that we want to give. So what I'll do is I'll just stop sharing this PPT and I'll go ahead and play the video. So for this demonstration, what we have done is I have set up a ColdFusion server, and it is running on HTTP port right now. And we are looking at server.xml here. We also have a tab which keeps like where I've already provided a URL for HTTPS port, and we'll see how the interaction goes. I'll go ahead and play the video. You can see that this connector is right now on, which is the HTTP port, and the highlighted part is the connector for SSL port that is disabled now. We log into the local host via HTTP port. We go to the server settings and then SSL certificate section. We'll first try to create a new certificate. We provided a minimal information there, a basic password and certificate name, demo 001, and we go ahead and create one. It says that key store and public key files are generated and it has been updated. We'll refresh this server XML and we can see that the SSL connector has been enabled now. Next, we go to the URL where we try to open this same ColdFusion server via HTTPS port. You can see that now this is enabled, and you can see that alert because it's a self-signed certificate. It's the normal flow. We go ahead and see the SSL certificate section. We see that the values are populated with the value that we provided in the previous section. Now we'll go ahead and try to use an existing certificate here. We have a pre-generated certificate keystore.jks. We provide the password for it. And this time we'll disable HTTP. After saving, it says we'll have to restart ColdFusion, which I did in the background. And now we'll go to server.xml to see if the changes are reflected properly or not. So once we refresh, we can see that the HTTP port is no longer enabled. It is commented out and only the HTTPS port is enabled. And HTTP port is not reachable anymore. Yeah, so SSL again works fine. We go back to that same menu again, go back to SSL certificate, and we see that the values that we have provided here is populated correctly. Yeah, we'll go back to our slides again. Yeah. The next security aspect that we want to talk about is how the communication happens between ColdFusion and central config server, and how do we make it more secure. You guys have already used CCS in the past. It basically is a configuration management system that we have developed in-house, and it gives the ability to keep a track of all the data that user-specific data, be it related to SAML or database or any other runtime related changes that we have made for a specific ColdFusion node. We'll call every ColdFusion instance as a node here. So all those can be managed by the CCS server. And in the diagram, it's a very basic diagram. It does a lot more than that, but this explains the basic idea. It gives the basic idea. So the one CF server that is attached to CCS that can act in two roles. One, it can act as a CCS manager. So it can act on behalf of CCS to add new nodes to this CCS server and do all these jobs that you can see in the CCS section, that is add, list, or enable or delete. And while this can act as a CCS manager, this can also be managed by the CCS server itself. Why do we need security at all for CCS? We talked about the configuration details that are stored at our end, right? So these are kind of very sensitive data information, which is very much user specific, and user might not be wanting to share or want this to be sniffed around in the network, which is why we wanted central config server also to be running on SSL mode. And we have already enabled our ColdFusion servers to be run on SSL with just a single set of UIs. So when this SSL is enabled for these two servers, there is an encrypted communication that happens between these servers. So the packet sniffers can no longer see the actual data that is being passed across. We talk about the admin changes that we do as part of this upgrade. We have the first section that you see here is the node addition section. So we have added a new attribute where we can ask the users if the node that they are going to add to CCS server is SSL enabled or not. And once those nodes are added, you can see in the below current node section that it will give us the data whether this node that was added was SSL enabled or not. As part of this change, we have made addition to some of the properties file. These property files sits in CFusion lib CCS folder. The first one is server related. So since we have enabled HTTPS, we have with this enabled 5 new attributes to be put in this server.properties. So we ask the users for HTTPS port and the 2 flags to say whether they want to enable HTTP or HTTPS port. Both can be true or false in any combination. And if HTTPS port is enabled, then we also ask for 2 more things, which is SSL key store path and its password. We saw that the nodes that we are adding can be running on SSL. So for that, we have made changes to nodes.property, and we are adding one extra field, which is SSL enabled. Next, we are going to go ahead with the demo of this section. So I'll go ahead and stop sharing this again and play the video again. Yeah, before the video starts, I just want to state like what is the setup that we are going to go ahead with. We have two instances of ColdFusion running here. We have one instance of CCS running here. CCS is running in SSL mode. So we have already given the certificate details. And one of the ColdFusion server is running, which is running on 8505 that you see here on the screen. That is running on HTTP. And the another ColdFusion server is running on HTTPS port that is running on 8443. And we'll go ahead and play the video. First, we go to the HTTPS ColdFusion. This will act as a manager for CCS server. We go ahead and see that there are no current list of nodes right now. We also check verify nodes.property that this is empty. We go to the server property and we can see that enable HTTPS port is set to true with the certificate details. Now we go to the HTTP enabled ColdFusion. We just want to go there and copy the CCS key that is needed to be added when we want to add this to CCS server so that it can be managed via CCS. We log in back to the SSL, which acts SSL enabled ColdFusion, which acts as a CCS manager right now. We'll go ahead and put all the details, localhost, port number 8505, and the key that we copied right now. SSL was not enabled for this node, so we leave that unchecked. We go down and we see that this node has been added and enabled for CCS server to be managed, and SSL flag is false here. To verify whether this was added correctly, we'll go ahead and refresh nodes.property. We can see that the details are being populated correctly here. Next, what we are going to do is the ColdFusion, which is acting as a CCS administrator, will add that as a node. So we have added all the details, and this time we have enabled SSL flag. We go ahead and see in the list of current node that this also has been enabled, and this time SSL flag is true for this server. We go ahead and refresh nodes.property, and we can see that there are two nodes added for CCS to be managed. So this was a basic demonstration where we saw that it works in all combination possible. We were running CCS on SSL. We were running one ColdFusion instance on SSL. We were running other ColdFusion instance without SSL. And it can work in any way that you choose it to work on. We go back to the slide again. We'll resume from where we left. So now that the security aspect is covered, Parvati will go ahead and talk about OEM upgrade and the later sections.
Thanks, Atul. Hi, everyone. Atul has already talked about the Tomcat upgrade and JDK upgrade. Here in the OEM upgrade section, I'll be talking about the other major upgrades that we have done. And also will provide an exhaustive list of the OEMs that we upgraded. By OEMs, we refer to the different third-party libraries, tools, and frameworks that aid us in the different functions in ColdFusion. Just as multiple small tools make the entire vehicle, multiple small OEMs collectively forms the foundation of ColdFusion. So making sure that it is not affected by any vulnerability is important to ensure ColdFusion is secure. So in short, we upgrade OEMs to make ColdFusion more secure. One of the major upgrade is FTP. With the advent of newer, stronger and secure algorithms, newer servers, like newer algorithms like 825519, the new servers have adopted the use of these newer algorithms. Although these provide an overall security, enhance the overall security, users were unable to connect to these servers using ColdFusion. So we have actually upgraded the jar called JSH, which is used in our FTP module from version 0.1.56 to 0.2.17. It comes with support of newer algorithms and is compatible with most of the newer algorithms. With this upgrade, there are certain changes in the security standards also. The SSH RSA algorithm will be disabled by default due to the updated cryptographic standards. Just to ensure backward compatibility, we have actually introduced this flag called coldfusion.sftp.enable SSH RSA. This is actually a Boolean flag, and by default, its value will be false, which means SSH RSA is disabled by default. So you can manually set it to true, but this is not recommended. We might deprecate this flag later, so we strongly suggest users to update or upgrade their servers to use newer algorithms. And again, there is some update in fingerprint algorithm also. So the default fingerprint algorithm changed from MD5 to SHA-256 with this upgrade. So previously MD5 was the default algorithm for fingerprint generation. Now it is SHA-256. SHA-256 generates a longer 256-bit hash compared to the 128-bit hash produced by MD5. And SHA-256 is more resistant to brute force attack and other collisions. Again, here also, for ensuring backward compatibility, we have introduced this flag, coldfusion.sftp.fingerprint equal to MD5, to revert the default algorithm for fingerprint generation to MD5. So only use this flag if your environment demands it, but we again strongly suggest that we might deprecate this flag later. So please update your servers to use more secure and stronger algorithms. Then about the upgrade in database drivers, all supported database drivers have been upgraded. Mainly we'll talk about upgrade in the MySQL driver and Oracle driver. From MySQL connector version 8.0.23, the data type for timestamp has changed from string to local datetime object. So to be in sync with the JDBC connector, we have also upgraded the data type for timestamp. Again, to maintain the compatibility, a flag has been introduced. It is coldfusion.jdbc.datetime.str equal to true. This ensures, like, for all those users who wants the output as string, you can use this flag. Again, for any users who are using older versions of MySQL connector that still outputs the timestamp as string, you can use this flag. Then about Oracle driver update, with Oracle's patch 19.24 TNS 12699, there was an issue with connectivity, citing an internal error occurred in the native services component. So Oracle has fixed this issue, and since we have updated the Oracle driver, this issue is fixed in our Oracle module also. Then here I'll give a quick statistics about the OEM upgrades we have done. OEM upgrades is actually a continuous process. We keep track of every OEMs that we use and make sure that it is not affected by any vulnerability. In case if it is affected by any vulnerability, we make sure that we update it to the newer version that is unaffected by these vulnerabilities. There are multiple reasons to update OEMs, the main one being vulnerabilities affecting them. So whenever any OEMs are updated, it could be due to bug fixes, other security enhancements. So we make sure that most of the OEMs we use are always up to date. So just to give a quick statistics, with this release, more than 70 OEMs have been upgraded, and associated with these OEMs, close to 100 jars or more than 100 jars have been upgraded. With this upgrade, more than 100 associated vulnerabilities associated to these jars has also been resolved. And with these jar upgrade and that with the modules that use them, more than 40 modules have been upgraded in ColdFusion. The next 4 slides will be an exhaustive list about all the OEMs upgraded. I'll not be going through each and every one of them, but you can view it for reference. I'll skip through them slowly. So here you can see like major OEMs like Apache, Tika, and Quartz have been upgraded. Then here also you can see extensive list of OEMs upgraded here. OEMs like Netty that is used in WebSocket, AWS, Lambda, and Azure Service, PDF Reactor, like many OEMs are upgraded. Here also there are important jars like JDOM and ROM that is extensively used in CFFeed, Jackson jars, CXF jars, Nico HTML. Finally, Jersey jars, all the jars related to Jetty and Access 2 has been upgraded to 1.8.2. So this is the extensive list of jars that we have upgraded with the release. Then about some of the changes in algorithms that we have made. This was actually introduced in CF 2023 update 8. So the default algorithm has been changed from CFMX compact to more secure algorithms in different functions. CFMX compact was a 32-bit algorithm, so changing the default algorithm to more secure algorithms made sense. So in encrypt binary, decrypt, and decrypt binary, basically in the encryption and decryption algorithms, the default algorithm has changed from CFMX compact to AES CBC PKCS5 padding. And for hash function, the default algorithm has been changed to SHA-256. And the default algorithms for random functions has been changed from CFMX compact to SHA-1 Also, in JWT, the algorithm RSA15 will no longer be supported due to the security issues associated with it. I'll again quickly recap about the different JVM flags that we talked about. The flags introduced, like FTP related flags. With the JSCH upgrade, we have added 2 flags to enable SSH RSA. The first one is ColdFusion.sftp.enable SSH RSA equal to true to enable the SSH RSA algorithm that is disabled by default. And again, as I told before, the fingerprint algorithm has been changed to SHA-256 to revert it to MD5. You can use the flag ColdFusion.sftp.fingerprint equal to MD5. Again, reiterating what I told, these are just introduced for backward compatibility reasons. Please upgrade your servers to use the newer, stronger, and secure algorithms. These might be deprecated in the future releases. And about MySQL related flag, since the data type has been changed to local datetime object to still get the output as string, you can use the flag ColdFusion.jdbc.datetime.str equal to true. And as Atul talked before, for implicit scope searching, you can set ColdFusion.search implicit scopes as true. Again, about the flags removed, I had talked earlier that the CFMX compact will no longer be the default algorithm in many of the functions. So we had introduced a flag called ColdFusion.encryption.use CFMX compact as default, which you can set to true to continue using CFMX compact as the default algorithm. But this flag will be removed in future releases. That is, CFMX compact will be available, but it no longer will be the default algorithm. These are about the JVM flags. In this previous section, we talked about multiple OEMs upgraded from our end, so to make sure that ColdFusion is secure. Now we'll talk about engineering escalations and community forum bugs. So we keep a track of different community forums and different channels where issues about ColdFusion is reported. Any security issue or any bug that needs immediate attention is fixed and will be a part of the next security or general update that goes. Here we'll talk about one such issue that we got from the community, which we have fixed. which is the issue editing schedule task in Firefox. Uh, Basically, the issue was in the newer versions of Firefox, users were unable to submit or create a schedule task. On submitting a schedule task, we were getting an input validation error, and ultimately the task was not being created. It was basically because of a priority header that is present in the HTTP request in Firefox, which is present in the latest version of the browser. This field conflicted and caused errors during submission of a scheduled task in the ColdFusion administrator. We have fixed this, and after this change, we could see that recent updates of multiple web browsers in the recent updates of multiple web browsers also, this issue was reproducible. So ultimately, it's fixed, and it's fixed in the latest releases of CF 2023 and CF 2021 also. Then about ensuring security in ColdFusion. So here we'll talk about some of the programs that we follow to ensure ColdFusion is secure and stable. So first we'll talk about the process of security updates in ColdFusion. So first, security reports are received. Basically, we have an internal PSIRT team that generates security reports about the product. Even users can log any security issues directly to PSIRT team. So once the security reports are received, these reports are analyzed, and all the issues that need attention are addressed. Once the issues are addressed, we prepare security bulletin and updates documentation to let the community know. After this, we release the update. Again, we'll follow up with community on forums and blogs, and we keep track of other security issues. And this process is always repeated. This ensures that we are always up to date with all the security issues that are affecting ColdFusion. Then about our bug bounty program. Other than our internal researchers who do penetration testing about any issues in ColdFusion, we have engaged with external researchers via the HackerOne platform through a program called Bug Bounty. So the statistical information about this Bug Bounty program is visible here. Here you can see the researcher engagement, false positive rate, the bounties awarded, and a lot more information. So here, till now, we have talked about the multiple ways which we are following to ensure that ColdFusion is secure and stable through OEM upgrades, engaging with the community, getting to know the issues that are affecting ColdFusion, fixing it, releasing security updates. So some responsibility to ensure that ColdFusion is secure, the code you're writing is secure, falls in the user's hand also. So we suggest users use sandbox security, which is a confined execution environment, restrict access to tags and functions, databases, data sources, and always restrict access to file systems. And as we know, input fields are vulnerable, so there are multiple ways to protect them from SQL injection and XSS attack, like using encoding functions. And we also recommend users use the security analyzer, which can be integrated with our VS Code plugin VS Code extension to enable developers to avoid any common security vulnerabilities that are available in the code. So you can use the security analyzers to find any vulnerabilities associated with your code. So that's about writing secure code. Atul will quickly recap this.
So just to circle back about what sections we have gone through, as we are very much committed to security and stability in ColdFusion, we look at this problem holistically. We look into it internally by upgrading our OEMs. We also look at it from external point of view, where we talk to customers, and if there are bugs reported, we look into it and address it as soon as possible. We also engage with the researchers and via PCERT and via bug bounty program. And also we have provided a security analyzer, so we suggest users to write secure code. We'll continue to do so in future also, and we are always committed to providing as a secure and stable ColdFusion. Always, yeah. So that's about this presentation. You can find our emails, and please feel free to reach out for any questions. We'll be happy to answer all the queries. Over to you, Mark.
Awesome. Well, thanks, you two. That was an amazing presentation. Lots and lots and lots of great info. I know security is top of mind for anybody running applications in ColdFusion or really any other language, as if you think about it. But we've had great questions that came into the Q&A. Our engineering team has actually been answering those. But if people have any other questions that have come up, is there anything that anyone else wants to put in here? I know Charlie's been giving us a lot of good info. One thing actually I wanted to chat with you two about that Charlie brought up was that currently, they say, this is regarding the new feature for HTTPS in the admin. And he mentioned that if you actually do that, it will return SSL error RX record too long if you don't also change the port to 8443, which is set in the server XML file. Is there something that we could potentially automate in the GUI, or at least indicate the port that will be enabled?
That's a good idea. We can actually provide a field where we can ask for port, and also we can, when the users enter the port, we can check for it in the background whether this port is available or not, or we go the other way around and we suggest a list of available port and user can pick from them.
Very cool. And Charlie is actually adding that as an enhancement request, so it'll come into our Jira. And you'll see that come in. Well, knowing Charlie, probably has already done it. We were talking here, knowing Charlie. But the other thing Charlie brought up, which was regarding to SFTP, the changes there, and that was that these are new, actually already in the October update for CF23 and 21, as well as here, and that you guys were just bringing it up because it'll be the default. It'll be the way things actually work in 2025. Is that correct? That people are already enjoying some of this as an option? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. And Pete Freitag asks, will there be a recording? Absolutely, there will be a recording. We are definitely recording this, and it will be posted first to the beta forums, and then hopefully somewhat shortly after to YouTube. We're working on finding a folder and getting it up to there. It just takes us a little bit longer to process and edit it and get it up to YouTube, but it will be available in, I don't know, how fast can Mark download this after this session? Awesome, great. Yeah, anybody else with questions, comments, concerns, pancake recipes? Good stuff. I was introduced to rice flour pancakes by Sharvi earlier this week, which sound amazing, and I want to have some. I want to have some with chutney. Oh my gosh, I know. I want to go. I want to go to India and eat pancakes till I can't move. Well, awesome, great. Well, if there's no more questions, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, and I'm going to hang out for a little bit while people are still here. But I want to thank Parvati and Atul for this amazing talk. It was a ton of info, super critical information, important to everyone, and I'm sure it's going to help out a lot of people. So thanks to for taking the time to share the time with us today. Awesome.
Yeah. Thank you everyone for your time.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, everyone.